Hello, welcome back to Blender Sushi LiveEnoDing. In this episode, I'm gonna try to do this breakdown of how I created this paper windmill. So I started by doing a little bit of research. Um, so basically, this is how you create it if you're kind of using a paper and then do the cutting. And it is actually pretty simple, where you just make like a certain cut and then you kind of fold it and bend the thing, and so you get this shape very fairly easily. And you can also make small the one that's more than four-sided. You can, yeah, it's actually pretty simple, but what makes this interesting is that the double-sided of paper. And if you are doing this by hand, it's very, very hands-on kind of creations. I kind of wanted to make this using Blender anyway. um, yeah, so when doing origami kind of thing using CG, it tends to be not very because it's not very hand-on. It's more like you try to think maybe you can kind of fake the shape and then kind of connect the edges. But here I'm trying to do the hands-on process. What I did here using Sverchok is I actually bend the thing slightly around that area. It's not the most intuitive process, but I will show you how I did it. So there's a few important steps along the way. So I started with a plane, and a plane is just like a grid, like this. And the next thing I did was to triangulate the plane so I can bend it more easily, because with 3D mesh, you tend to want to have some kind of topology that works well when you animate it, when you bend like the surface mesh, things like that. So I triangulate it so that I can bend it um, in the directions that I want more easily. But before I do that, I actually from the grid itself, I kind of cut it into a triangular shape. So this is the next step that I did. Let's Sverchok did a calculation. So there you go. I actually cut the plane somewhat. I rotate the plane 45 degree and then I cut it into half using this method. I'm cutting anything under anything that's actually in the negative value of the y. So I get this half triangle, just like the real thing. And then what I did next is to bend it using simple deformations. And this part is actually kind of tricky, and it took me quite a while to get it right. But I managed to do that somehow. So this is what I get. I actually crumple the paper slightly. Oh, this is, so I get this kind of wave kind of shapes. Yeah, this thing, I found it very tricky here. What's the origin of the bandit? It's actually logically it's not that tricky, but try to do it here using matrix deform. Like, you need the correct origin. Once you get it, it's kind of okay. It's not that complicated, but you actually see this. There's this little matrix viewer, and this is where I'm kind of bending the surface, I think, or I actually already moved the shapes here using the move. But before I move it, it should looks like that. So you see this little matrix widget here is where I'm bending the surface, and I get this part is becoming slightly offset like that. Well, the bending bits procedurally it's slightly tricky, but you can kind of follow. I place where the rotation should be, using this XYZ, and then I use a angle, things like that. I'll give you the setup anyway, if you want to study it. So I get this shape and then I kind of move it, and I'm using this matrix apply, and in the end I get this windmill paper kind of shapes. So, and once I get this, I actually, it's very easy if you want to add more or less of the windmill. So we can have like the one with eight windmill, or maybe 3, or just 4. The normal one is like this, and you can simply bake it, and it's a single shapes, and we can rotate it in the z-axis, like maybe using animation nodes or just manually rotating it. So yeah, that's the whole process of how I created this windmill. You might also notice that I'm scaling it in the z directions to kind of make this part thinner. So I squeeze this a little bit, so that's a little bit of cheat, but the cheating is okay. This is like because this is like a 3D mesh. It's not like even like a real paper. You maybe want to kind of make this part thinner, still doing kind of wave shapes, but you kind of squeeze it down a little bit. So originally it looks like this. Somehow the calculations, see, so that's how it looks before I squeeze it. So now after I squeeze it into 0.2 in the z, it looks a little bit better, a little bit flatter. Now we have these paper shapes. So the whole thing is procedural. I actually made the paper slightly crumpled. Originally it's very clean. Wait a few seconds. So this is how it looks when it's clean, but I crumple the paper a little bit, maybe 0.1 or 0.2. So this is slightly more natural, I found. Yeah, slight variations. I think this will look much better if we are using double-sided material in cycles maybe, and definitely you can get quite believable windmill paper objects in 3D. So yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with this. Probably not 100% perfect, but still pretty useful. And yeah, okay, maybe I will use this for my other project. Yeah, we will see. But thanks again for tuning in, and hopefully this is useful, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye.